February. I've been home 4 days. I know. So I have a lot of material to get through today, and I just want to put some context into it. Is that something that I agree with that Michael said earlier, and that's that you're gonna walk away from here and realize that you're just at the beginning. That there's a whole lot more that needs to occur after you leave here. Are you going to feel comfortable? Absolutely comfortable using our tools as they are when you walk out of here? Maybe a few of you, but probably others are going to need to have some time to digest it, process it, adapt them, which you're allowed to do, and maybe get some additional knowledge and skills in essential skills before you feel really comfortable with it. Okay? I'm going to do a very brief introduction to essential skills as well, and a little bit more information, background information on the Scales project, and then I'll dive down into our tools. But when we look at the tools, they're really just a broad overview of the tools. Okay. So, as I mentioned during the panel, we completed some research, and some of the common themes that came out of the research of what career practitioners were looking for were to have tools where we could start having a common language, where career practitioners could start talking to employers and their clients and to literacy practitioners, all using the same language, which I think is fantastic. And what is so powerful about essential skills. And tools for a variety of client populations, and tools that demonstrate how identifying literacy and essential skills deficits and improving literacy essential skills can contribute to positive employment outcomes, and tools that are user-friendly, engaging, and generate quick results. So those are things that we always kept in the back of our mind when we were looking at what tools we were going to create. So we analyzed all of the research and determined that there were 10 that we wanted to work on. So the 10 are Essential Skills Workshop and the Facilitator's Guide. So let me just back up a little bit here. Is that when we did, sorry, here's another thing. As a typical facilitator, I started moving slides around at the last minute. So sorry about that. There may be a few things that are a little different in your printed version. Yeah, a little bit. So I have this actually twice. Okay. So when we did our initial research, we sent out surveys to career practitioners across the country using umbrella organizations and our own contacts. And one of the surveys went, so we sent out 2 surveys, one to just general people through umbrella organizations, and then Douglas College actually has a online essential skills practitioner certificate program. So, yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't use that thing because we're thinking through to the other side and we can't shut it off.
Are we able to maybe lower the volume a little bit? Because
She's already tried that. It's still coming through.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, let's try without the mic, see what would happen. You just wanted to take over.
I know. In the other room. Okay, so yeah, we need to, is that turned off now?
Yeah, there's no switch on it tonight, so maybe we'll unplug the XLR cable off of it.
Oh, that was So we also sent out a separate survey to people who have started to take the Essential Skills Practitioner Certificate course. And interesting findings. We found that people who had taken one course through the certificate program, when we asked them the question of how likely are you to, like, are you integrating essential skills into your day-to-day work, they said 20% were. Yet when people have completed at least like more than one workshop, it jumped up to 60%. Okay, so that was really important to us because we realized that if we create these tools, we can't just automatically assume that people are going to be comfortable in integrating them. And that's where I'm here with you today, an hour and a half. Are you going to feel comfortable integrating them? Maybe not. But it's a start, and I encourage you to start. To start in a small way and work your way up to building capacity to start integrating essential skills. Because it's such powerful stuff. So we have workshops that the workshops that when we piloted the tools to our organization, when we piloted the tools to our organizations, we spent 3 days helping them build awareness of what are essential skills, what are our tools, and how can you pilot them. So we took that training and we created workshops that are on our website. So you can take advantage of these Train the Trainer workshops for yourself. You can also adapt them for your clients. So I'm going to show you those shortly. We also have a directory that has a number of different literacy and essential skills tools and resources that you can use with your clients or you can use for your own knowledge. As well a roadmap, which is like an action plan to use with your clients, learners. A checklist tool, and card sorts, which I'll show you, computer use, resume statement, job posting tool, an adaptation tool, so that you can take these tools and you can learn how you can adapt them for your own organization, as well as how do you access the profile tips. So anyway, move forward here. So when we first met as a team, this works all over the country. We needed to find out, what's a career practitioner? Are you doing the same thing as we're doing? And we looked at career development. Does it look the same across the country? And we thought that this paradigm that is very linear, that is old, is still resonated for a lot of people that we work with. They go to school, they possibly go to post-secondary, they go out to work, and they hope to be able to stay in this type of employment forever and retire possibly at the same company. Okay? Yet, the reality is, what's going on? I don't know why it's not going forward. No, stop it. Do you have the... Okay, let's try this.
Oh, for a minute I thought that was an essential skills issue.
Sorry, Odette. Is this microphone? Is that the microphone for the people in the rural areas? Are they hearing okay?
They are hearing it's not the greatest sound
we got
quality.
The competition from outside with the windows open. Shall I wonder if it's not going to mess you up too much if you might come closer, sort of here? Sure. Thank you.
Yep. So this is more of the reality for people, right? They are going to school, they go out to work, they decide to go back to school, maybe they move to a different country, they return to work, they return to school, and it changes throughout their life cycle. They may retire and then go back out to the workforce. Yeah. So this is why essential skills are so important, is because it allows you to be able to be flexible and change and adapt in today's society. So why integrate essential skills in career development? So we think it's important that we bring an explicit literacy and essential skills approach into Canadian career development. And that we build common language between career practitioners, employers, participants, clients, job seekers. So we looked at, well, what is career development? And this is a model that was created by one of our team members, Clarence Shepherd, who works for Nova Scotia Community College and is a leader in career development. And he talks about how career development at its core is having a deepening understanding of your identity. And people come into service at various stages of career development. They may come into a literacy program saying, I want to engage in learning. And learning in order to be going out to work. Right? But the goal is to go to work. Or they may come in saying, I don't know what I want to do, I don't know who I am, but I know it's time for a change. And they work through various stages. So this may resonate for you. You may say, I'm in an organization that looks after all of these stages of career development. Or you may be looking at one stage of it. Okay? And so then it may be that you're making referrals elsewhere. When a person says, okay, I've moved on, I've got what I need from you, I'm moving on. So when we look at essential skills, we thought to ourselves, we need to look at, does essential skills fit within this career development model? And we really believe that it does, that it fits in all areas. That my identity is around a deepening awareness of my skills, my essential skills, and that time for a change is that it's not working and maybe I need to look at my essential skills. It's exploring my identity. What are my strengths? What are my gaps in my essential skills? And acknowledging how those strengths and gaps may be impacting decisions that I make. How exploring options. So looking at the essential skills profile, comparing your skills to the profile and what's needed may be very helpful in gaining some aha moments to be able to move forward. To develop action plans for moving ahead, so recognizing the skills gap and moving ahead to narrow those gaps by upskills. So moving into engaging in potentially essential skills upgrading, and then embedding essential skills language into the job search to build that common language with the client and the employer, and going off into the work world and possibly starting over again. So what are essential skills? So essential skills are those enabling skills that help people perform tasks required by their job. They are the skills that provide workers with a foundation for learning other jobs, and they are skills that enhance a person's ability to adapt to change. HRSCC's original definition of essential skills are these 9. So you have your reading, document use, numeracy, writing, oral communication, working with others, continuous learning, thinking, and computer use. Since the original research into essential skills back in the 90s that happened as a result of the International Adult Literacy Survey, it was the first major international literacy survey that Canada participated in. And the government then had a group of people start a research project to identify, well, what are the skills that workers need to be successful out in the workforce? And these are the 9 that the group said were essential to success in the Canadian workforce. Okay? Since then, the world of work has changed a lot, and the world of work has gotten more complex. And so they are making some adjustments to the 9 essential skills. So instead of computer use, which is a really quite a narrow vision of the world nowadays, it's now become digital technology to account for all of the smartphones and all of the equipment that we're using today. Okay, how we're connecting with people. We have working with others has moved into additional information, so they just kind of rejuice things. But for the most part, it stays the same. So if you look at if you were to go onto the HRSDC website, and if I had more time, we would have navigated it. But if you were to say Google HRSDC Essential Skills Definitions, you'd come up with this page where you'd be able to hyperlink and get the definitions of essential skills as outlined by HRSDC. The website is huge, as all of you I'm sure are aware. But if you look at the box to the left, you have your different hyperlinks to specific essential skills sections in this website. So there is the definitions, there are the profiles, which I'll show you a screenshot of it, tools and resources, and different funding, which I assume the Scales project is in this database. So if I had more time, I would also go onto the website and show you the profiles. The profiles are amazing, and I think can be so useful for us as practitioners, and to also help our learners, our clients, gain more understanding, to be explicit in talking about essential skills using a profile. There are 350 original profiles that are, so people went out and talked to workers. So let's say they went out to dental hygienists across the country. They talked to hygienists working in big companies, small companies, urban, rural, and they found out what they read, what documents they use, how they are communicating with people, how they're working with people, and they built this profile of their job. And then they compared all of the profiles of different people across the country and compiled one profile for a hygienist that went through a lot of rigorous research and to ensure that it was accurate. How many positions are profiled? Over 350. They started with occupations that were grade 12 or less, and then have been working up. So, last I checked, a medical doctor isn't in there yet, okay, and likely it will be a new profile. So they are updating the profile to look at the changes that have happened in the world of work since. So it's going to be talk about digital technology as opposed to computer use. Okay. They also the updated ones are much more user-friendly as well. If you're going to show a profile to a client, starting with the updated ones is always a good idea because they look so much nicer. Okay, so the essential skill is based on strong methodology, research, and there are constructs behind the definitions, etc. And what I would really encourage you to do is to go onto the Reader's Guide to Essential Skills Profiles to really understand how they're written, why they're written the way they are. Something that I haven't talked about, which Michael talked about earlier, is complexity levels. What makes Essential Skills Profiles so unique and usable is that it accounts for complexity levels. Using the same IELTS 500-point scale that was used in the IELTS research. Okay. People familiar with that? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So the profiles are split from the 500 points to 5 levels. And so you will have in the profile examples of tasks, and then it'll rate the complexity level of the task. Okay. So why should we care about essential skills? So let's think of essential skills. They're weaving their way throughout entire occupations. For sake of argument, let's call them the foundational skills at the bottom here. They're the numeracy skills, the adding, multiplication, subtraction. In reading, they're the comprehension of the reading. And to have strong essential skills means that when you move into the technical skills, they attach. You can understand them. You can use these skills in your tasks on the job. Okay? And so for example, you have someone who wants to be a plumber. They have their generic essential skills. They move into their plumbing technical program, and they're able to understand it, grasp it, and be able to integrate it into the work that they're doing as a plumber. So they're able to take it out into the world of work and use their skills. And someone with strong essential skills could change positions, and even when the work changes a little bit, they can adapt to their changing work world. So people who have a lack of essential skills, it's like Swiss cheese. You know, their schools and their essential skills, it means that out there in school, they're not really retaining it because they don't really get it in the first place. It's just following through. So to give you a specific example, a coworker of mine worked with an employer who was a machine shop, and they were doing really well, and they wanted to bring in some cutting-edge technology to be able to take on new business. And this was going to mean the world to this company. They were ready to expand. So they bought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. They brought in trainers from the United States to teach their staff. They spent a week with them, taught them how to use the equipment, and then they left. What the employer hadn't counted on was that there were holes in the essential skills. So once the trainer left, this stuff, it wasn't retained, it was gone, okay? So I think we can relate to some of the things, the topics, the stories that Michael was talking about this morning, right? In Washington. Maybe there were some gaps here somewhere.
No, there were, and they were grandfathered in the regulation, so they never had to address the essential skills. Not to mention some fraudulent behavior, but yeah, no, there were essential skills gaps.
Yeah. Right. So, Michael talked about this earlier. This is Canada-wide. It's up to 48% of Canadians are at the lowest two levels of essential skills. Okay, so these are people, to give an example, in levels 1 and 2, when someone is reading a document, they're learning to read. So they're reading it, learning to read. Okay, when you're at levels 3 and higher, when you're reading a document, you're reading the instructions because you're learning the job. Okay? You're reading to learn how to do the job. Okay? Yeah, at the same time, we have a lot of people at the levels 1 and 2, yet there are very few jobs at levels 1 and 2. Now, you'll notice that some of these statistics are rather old, and that's because we're just now in the process of participating in another adult literacy survey called PIAC, and so we'll get some more current, up-to-date information, see if things have improved in Canada with literacy levels. We'll get that shortly in the fall. But in the meantime, I mean, this is in 2001. The majority of occupations and jobs required level 3. Do you think it's getting easier out there? No. Right? If anything, it's getting harder. So that's why it's so important that we're helping Canadians build their essential skills to be able to compete with one another in the workplaces, as well as compete with in a global market. Another interesting finding is that people at levels 3, at levels 4 and 5, if they're unemployed, they're back out into the workforce a lot sooner. Typically unemployed for 9 weeks, and then they're back out in the workforce. People with lower levels, levels 1 and 2, typically 38 weeks unemployed before getting out there again. And as Michael talked about, the safety. There is a really strong link between strong essential skills and safety and literacy. So, what I want to do is start talking about our tools. What we did as a team is we created our own model, career development model, taking into account lots of different models that are out there. These are the ones that resonated for us. Who am I is the self-awareness. Who am I as a person, as a learner, in my day-to-day life, as a worker. And what do I want to do? B is about exploration, research. What do I want to do in the future? How do I reach my goal? Is now that I know who I am, what I want to do, how am I going to get there? And finally, is the getting started action planning. So now that I know all this, I'm ready to go, and how can I go out and job search or start school? Okay? So these colors are consistent throughout our tools. Our pilot organization said that they really wanted tools that were fun, engaging, and interesting. They found that sometimes tools were rather boring, black and white. Now, we also know that there's funding issues, and you may not be able to afford to print in color, so they do print nicely in black and white. Our tools have also been all adapted and translated into French, and they're available on our website in French. They also have alt text, so if you have low vision, or your clients have low vision, the alt text will show up on the screen readers. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we encourage you to adapt and change our tools to suit your needs. So if that means that you want to include your logos, you can do so. If you want to put, have a space for the client's name, you can do so. If you want to get rid of some of the extra graphics, you're welcome to do so, because we know that it may not be suitable for everyone. And so our tools are in PDF, but will be, before the end of the project, we will have them all in Word format so that you can then adapt them. And our project is actually ending the end of March, so the tools are all on our website, and that will they'll always be there so that you can access them. The best thing for you to do is go onto our website and download them onto your own computer. So a lot of them work really nicely on your computer. I've also brought a number of USB sticks, so if any of you have your laptops here, you're welcome to grab a USB stick from me and download the tools. I put them all into folders and made it easy for you already.
They work very nicely on tablets. Got a new Samsung tablet this weekend and was playing with it. It presents very nice. I'm sure it's the same as the iPad.
Right. Wonderful. Okay, so where can I find the tools? You can find the tools by using this hyperlink, or you can Google Connect Strategic Alliances, and I'll show you how to find them that way. So what I'm going to do is get out of this PowerPoint and go on to the website. Hopefully, it worked. Honestly, it worked earlier. So, try another one.
Can you just click on it at the bottom there, Michelle? Yeah.
Mouse is not working very well. Okay, so if you were to go, so projects, and then go to the Scales project, you'll see this page. Sorry, I'll try and hopefully I can use it. Sorry, you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have to lean down here. So on the web page, you'll see there are 3 hyperlinks. This is for those of you who would like to get more information on the background of our project. You can read the executive summary. You can read the report that outlines the environmental scan we completed, as well as our research report. Interesting stuff there, actually, really interesting stuff about how how employment programs and career practitioners are They're going about their business. For what I'm going to do right now is click on the hyperlink that says Access the Scales Toolkit. I'm going to click on it, and it'll pop up a new page that when we scroll down gives us a list of all of the tools. Okay? So I'm going to go to the workshop. The second one down, I'm going to go to the Literacy Essential Skills Workshop, click on it, and just give you an illustration. The information at the top provides just some background information on how to use it, maybe how to print it, some tips, and then it gets to the hyperlinks with the tools themselves. So you'll see that this is the top one is the Facilitator's Guide in English, and then underneath it is in French. Then we have the slide deck. So what we did was we compiled the 3-day workshop into 14 different sections. That what you can do is save them all as one, and you can offer this training. If you feel comfortable and qualified, you could do train-a-trainer with your colleagues back at the office. Okay? You can also mix and match these slide decks, and offer workshops to your clients. So what I'm going to do to help you understand that a little bit more is I'm going to go to the Facilitator's Guide. It's kind of hard to see here. So I'm just going to review the table of contents with you. So the Facilitator's Guide has an executive summary attached to it. Then it has how do you prepare for the workshop. If you were going to offer a workshop to your clients, how do you prepare for it? Do you have the skills for it? Do you have the time to be able to put into creating a workshop? Then we have a material and tools required section, so that you have all of the list of all of the tools and materials you're going to need to offer this workshop to your clients. And we have a number of different exercises, fun exercises that we do to help people understand essential skills a little bit more. So for example, one that I often use is I have these little Velcro nips and then a simple tennis ball, and we get people to start throwing the tennis ball around and hitting the Velcro nip. And if you think of the ball as being technical skills and the Velcro nip as being your essential skills, just kind of has a visual about the importance of having strong essential skills so that the technical skills can stick. It's fun, it's interactive, and what we heard from our pilot sites is that it really worked. They got it. Their clients understood what essential skills were. Just building, grounding that knowledge a little bit, okay, bit at a time. So we have lots of different exercises that we did in our train-the-trainer, as well as what you can use with your clients. We also have some workshop options. So we have different types of templates. So you an introduction to essential skills, what exercises you could use, what videos. We have different hyperlinks of videos that are fun and engaging. We have our scale tools that you can embed into the workshop, and you can walk away with like an hour and a half, 2-hour workshop for your clients on introduction to essential skills. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down the website. I just wanted to give you a bit of time to be able to see how you navigate the website. Each of the tools has their own web page. So does everyone feel comfortable with that? Okay. A link where people can go to test their essential skills online. Yeah. There are a number of tools where people can assess their essential skills online. But it depends on what type of assessment you want to do. So one of our workshops is about assessment. So you have your informal assessment, like you have your self-assessment where people are assessing themselves and their own essential skills, but it's not been validated, right? But it's really, when we have a few of those tools in our toolkit, because we think that it's a really nice way of introducing essential skills, getting people to think about their skills. It's fun and engaging. It's not threatening at all. Then you have your informal assessment. So on the HRSDC website, you have over 80 resources, essential skills resources. One of those is a series of online indicators. So people can are asked questions, and there are right and wrong answers. So they could be asked questions about numeracy questions, and there are right or wrong answers, and what the person will learn at the end is they'll be given an indication. There's an indication that this person has level 2 in numeracy, or level 3 in numeracy. That's what I'm looking for. Right. Okay, so that would be on the HRSDC website. They're called indicators, and they have online indicators. They're terrific. And then you have the formal assessment. So Bow Valley College has TAP. Probably heard of it, Test of Workplace Essential Skills. That's a valid formal assessment, and they would stand behind it so that it could be used in situations where there's a high risk. So it could be used to determine whether a person is ready for service. Okay, and it is on the 500-point scale, not the 500. So what's nice about it is you could do a pre-test, you could do upskilling, and then a post-test and see where the gains are. Okay? Yep.
Are any of your materials been?
No. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to go to, I thought my tools were saved on here, but where my do you know where my tools are, Odette? They're on my media stick.
Yes.
And the media sticks are on my computer
Okay. And so if you
Okay, great. Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, so this is what I have on my deck with all the tools in the folders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the accessing.
Michelle,
Yeah.
maybe if you pull that blue folder out from under the keyboard, the problem you're having is with that optical reader on the white sheet. So if you actually put the mouse on the blue folder or on the green, it will work much better.
Like this?
Yeah, now you're set.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to go to is the Accessing Essential Skills Profiles. And you'll see that there are 2 different files. Each one of our files has an objective sheet so that you can understand why the tool was created in the first place. So this one here is so that participants will become familiar with accessing essential skills profiles. And this notes section allows you to make your own notes, which is really helpful so that you can fill it in with information about what worked, what didn't work for you, how you use the tool. Okay.
The green one seems to be a little bit better because it's flatter. It's not perfect, but
Oh, technology, right? Okay, so here is the actual tool. So a number of our other sales tools ask the clients to use the profile, the HRSCC profile. But because it's such a huge site, it's hard to navigate. So we created a tip sheet or a cheat sheet for you, for your clients to be able to access the profiles in a quick, efficient manner. So it's something that you could have at the Resource Center desk or have at your desk. And when you're talking to your client, you want them to go onto the website, the cheat sheet for them. Okay, you may need to walk through it with them. So it's step by step. So starting with Google, our very first version of this tool, we had the actual website, and then HRSCC changed the website. So we just went to Google. Okay. So then you type in essential skills profiles. This is what shows up, and then showing you how to go to the 350 original tools, and then doing a search by occupation, and coming up with putting in civil engineer, seeing that there are actually two related to civil engineers on the HRSCC website, and then you choose the one you want, and you get to the profile. Okay, and then at the end it does also explain how you go to the updated profile. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and I want to look at the roadmap. So remember I showed you Clarence's career development model, and then I showed you our model. What we did was we created one that had all of the branches or all of the cogs in the wheel attached to it. So it's looking at who am I, not just related to essential skills, but bigger than that as well. Looking at what are my values and interests, what are my essential skills, what are my abilities, what's my learning style, etc. And then moving into what do I want to do and be is more like what is important for me in life and leisure, and what learning options are important to me, what essential skills do I need for my life or for work, and what work options do I want to explore. Moving into how do I reach my goals, so what can I get, like for technical or career training, what network supports do I need, what might be getting in the way, etc. And then moving into the action items of interview preparation, resume development. So what we envision with this is that you have it at either on the wall. You can print this as like a large copy, have it on the wall, and start to be explicit with people about career development, about staging. What we learned from our pilots was that by being explicit, the client became an active member and became engaging with them. And here it's not chaotic. You actually, me as a career practitioner, I actually know what I'm doing, and there's a process here, and I'm going to help you and guide you through it. And for the person sitting beside you, it's a relief to know that there's some rhyme and reason to this in what's going on in my life. And if we work through things step by step, we'll actually I'll reach my goals. Okay? So it's very powerful stuff. So we created a roadmap, but first I'll just show you the tool guide. It talks about the 4 stages of the career development process, and it gives you some steps to use for completing the roadmap. And then it gives you the definition of word. Okay. You see so what this explains here is these the definitions of each section, and then it gives examples of tools and resources that our pilot site said they used regularly. So for example, in Who Am I and What Do I Want to Be and Do, a lot of our organizations use career grouping. Okay? Or they use the strong interest inventory. Choices, they use True Colors. Okay? So then we also created a sheet where you can enter information into it. So it's like a menu, so that you can show this menu to your clients and say, okay, if you think it's really important to learn more about your interests, here are some workshops that we offer. Here are some tools that we offer as an organization. Here's when they're offered. Kind of just like a menu of items that your organization uses. And then let me show you the roadmap if I can navigate. Okay, so here is a roadmap. Here's the paper version of it. You can fill it in on your computer, or you can print it. It's like a trifold, and it's an action plan. So if a person comes into you and you build a relationship, you're talking explicitly about essential skills and talking explicitly about career development, it's, you can start talking about, well, where do you reside? You know, the person may say, I know who I am and I know what I want to do, I just don't know how to get there. So you start working on the issues that are here, the intervention. Okay? And then on the back, it has like a checklist of different, job search functions, so creating resumes, cover letters, practicing interviews, etc. Okay? And on the bottom, you have a place to put your action items. So next week, we're going to meet and do work on your resume. And then it could also be a section here where you fill in goals, what you've learned after this intervention. So people come in at various stages, and what we found during our pilots is that the organizations that I had people who I was working with for a really long time that just weren't moving along, and they thought they were here, but after we started working together, they realized they were actually in Who Am I? They needed to get a better understanding of who they were. Okay, so it's sometimes slowing down to speed up the process, right? Okay, so wish me luck here with this mouse. What I want to show you next is the, oh my word.
Maybe you won't want to come back to
Oh my God, never done this before. Oh, no, it's brand new. Okay.
Which one are we going to, Michelle?
Sorry, we're going to go into the checklist. So the overview of the checklist is that the participants will become familiar with the 9 essential skills and his or her ability to complete a variety of essential skills-based tasks, and will be able to informally assess their essential skills. And the participants will be able to informally assess essential skills, and career practitioners will be able to use this tool to next steps with them. If we look at the actual tool, sorry, let me go back. Sorry, this one here. So it has a step-by-step guide on how to use it. This is a tool that really helps the clients understand what essential skills are, and also really engage them in thinking that essential skills are important because it relates back to employment. So whenever we use we created tools that use the profiles. The clients really like that. So this one here says that they are to, I'm sorry that this is not very big. So it asks you to put check marks according to how you answer the statement. Okay? Okay, so you can use it online. You can also print it. At the beginning, what it has is it has a definition of reading, and then it will list some occupations that that indicate that reading is one of the most important essential skills for its occupation. Okay, and it has checklists for all 9 of the essential skills. I'm just going to scroll through. You'll see at the bottom, once they've completed the checklist, they also write down tasks that they find easiest to complete and tasks that are more difficult for them to complete. And then at the end, what they do is they total up the scores for always and usually. Okay? And then they put these scores in here. So let's say they said, this isn't going to work. Okay, so 9 in reading, 8 in document use, and 8 in thinking skills. And let's say they were the top 3. So then they would enter in the top 3 essential skills, what areas they need to work on, and then they look at what types of occupation are they interested in and compare their essential skills to the profile. Okay, so now they're starting to say, all right, well, my reading skills are really strong. That's really important in this occupation. And oral communication is really important. Yet I'm a little weak on that. So it starts to get them to start identifying areas that they may need to work on. Yep.
Another question. If you go back just a little bit to, you know, where we put in numbers for the reading skills and documenting right on.
Yep.
There was, you know, where you can put numbers for like oral communication and working with others, right?
Yep.
There's not really many tools out there to assess other skills other than definitely reading or university. So my question is, where do you pull those numbers for others then?
Where do we pull those?
How do you, where would the client get the numbers for what their skill level is for, let's say, digital technology or writing?
So we created checklist statements for each of the 9 essential skills, and we got a lot of those statements from looking at profiles. Okay, so tasks that are common around a lot of profiles. So they are generic, right? But you're right. As far as informal and formal tests, there aren't a lot. It's not an easy thing to formally assess someone for working with other skills, right? But there are organizations that are working on building formal assessments for more than just document use, reading, and literacy skills. I believe they're getting close on oral communication. Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw this, I felt it was much more like one of the evolving indicator approaches, and I really approached this and thought about it as kind of a roadmap approach as opposed to more of a deeper dive in this, what I would call like a survey approach, like a land surveyor would use. And that's why I actually thought it was quite helpful for people that would need to actually provide some frontline leadership in their roles to get going, but not necessarily to have that level of specificity.
Yes, absolutely.
Am I on track here?
Yes. What we heard from our pilot organizations is that they wanted to have some informal, fun assessments that were that tied into employment, but weren't, that were just to get people engaged. Quite a few of the organizations have used more formal assessments, but they're pretty intimidating, right? It's some of the TAUS assessments are like 2-3 hours long. And to say, okay, now we're going to do a TAUS assessment, maybe a little intimidating. So I see these checklists as being the baby steps. You're going to get to TAUS, but not right now. Okay, let's get you comfortable with what are essential skills, how are they tied to employment. Start to self-identify some strengths and weaknesses. Is it valid? Not really, but we're getting people to start thinking about what are tasks that they find easy and difficult, so to get the conversations going with you as a practitioner and move you forward. So we found that this actually raised people's confidence, which then helps you to be able to move the next step forward. Yep.
I have a question in regards to assessment. So you do the self-assessment in an occupation that has a profile, so they know that something is very important, like numeracy.
Yep.
And your client is lacking in that. So how would you get him to, do you have tools that would raise his numeracy level?
Yes, there are. There are lots of tools that are computer-based and that are, and there's lots of curriculum as well.
Is that linked up to these?
What we created was a directory, and in the directory are a number of different tools that are outside of the scales tools. Okay. So we weren't going to start creating things that were already available out there. So I'll tell you one place that comes to mind is SkillPlan. SkillPlan has a really good website, MeasureUp. And Bow Valley College, if not already, is really working towards getting some really good curriculum in place that could, where you would be able to complete an assessment, know where you're at, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and just have to build on the strengths. So you're not completing any curriculum that is unrelated to, that is a strength. It's just really honing in on the areas that you need help with.
I also just had a note from Lorraine Moulding from Literacy Alberta, who's joining us online. So Literacy Alberta on their website does also have some really good assessment tools. She says under their resources, creating learning partners.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to show you.
Michelle, will there be a few moments at the end for questions?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Instead of on I'm not going to show you in the folders, but just show you in person here, is that we also created some cards, and you can print the card, and you can have you used card sorts before? Okay, so it's a fun way to engage with people who may not be all that comfortable with really heavy, dense text, who are hands-on learners. And so you can do a series of exercises with them. So we have life cards and we have work task cards. So someone who has been out of the workforce a long time or maybe not been in the workforce, they can using the heading cards, for example, I'm able to do this, or I'm not able to do this, or I can do it with help. And then you have them complete the life task and put them into the category that most suits them. What you'll find is that a lot of people who come in and say, I don't have any skills, are going to find that they actually have a lot of skills and a lot of life skills that then build the conversations into how they can be transferred into the world of work. So again, another tool that can be used for confidence building. The tools are color-coded. We have a guide. The guide will tell you what the colors mean. So red is reading tasks, isn't it? And, you know, yellow, I think, is document use. And we also have little icons in the corner or symbols in the corner. And there they indicate whether it's easy, medium, or hard task. So as you're working with your client, there's also a nice checklist sheet, so you can start to write in what are the things that are their strengths, or you know, you put under each of the columns. So what I am able to do, and you can start to notice that there may be some commonalities, like where maybe it's only the easy tasks that people are comfortable with, okay? Or maybe it's all of the reading tasks they're really comfortable with, but they're not comfortable with documents. So it's, again, starting the conversation slowly. Again, it's a self-assessment, and people really like this a lot. And I know some organizations are using it on a regular basis. It gives you instructions on how to print them. I just printed them on the Word, and I just printed them on my regular printer at home using business cards, and it worked just great. So these are called the card sorts.
So that fits in really well with the whole asset-based development or asset-based development on what you have and what you don't.
Absolutely, absolutely, yep. Okay, and are people here working with employers? Yeah, okay, so we also created a job posting tool because, you know, I know the HRSDC job bank asks employers to, using a drop-down box, ask them to indicate what essential skills are needed for the occupation. But when you talk to employers, they don't really know what they mean, right? They don't know how the definition of essential skills. So what we want to do is we want to start to build the capacity, have the common language, that when we're talking to employers, we can talk about the real essential skills and use the common language. And so what we've done is created a tool where you can start to break down tasks into essential skills language, and there's a template so that you can fill in the, you can learn how to break those tasks down, and then how to build a job posting using your common language. One of our pilot sites also took it one step further, and they offered a workshop to their clients saying, how do you deconstruct job postings? Which I thought was really interesting. So now they are understanding what does it, you know, when employers says customer service skills, what are they really talking about? Okay? So the job posting tool could be really useful for that. So, I have a couple of sites that are using job posting essential skills language throughout. It's an expectation that any job posting they create is using essential skills language. They've then taken it two steps further. They're now working with employers to help them create job descriptions that are, again, using essential skills language, and training plans, so that when their participants are going out with this employer, the training plan is also written in essential skills language. Good stuff. Resume statement tool is a tool where, again, you're helping the participants build essential skills language into their resume. So it's a step-by-step, and it's a step-by-step guide into how to break down the statements using the profile as your base. Because why wouldn't you? The profiles are full of amazing information. But you don't want people to be cutting and pasting, right? You want them to be thinking of what are their experiences when they're creating their resume. So this helps with, it's like a 3-step process in building your own statements that are your personal statements. Okay, so this is the 3 steps. And it gives you an example of a resume that uses essential skills language, and then it gives you a website to go to for further information on styles of resume. Okay, and getting low on time here. There's also a computer use. So 3 different computer use tools. When we talk to career practitioners during our needs assessment, they said that it would be great to have computer use tools that are getting people to actually learn how to job search on their own. So there were 3 common requests in employment centers. It was that were on a regular basis, a daily basis, the staff were asked, how do I format my resume? How do I attach my email, my resume to my email? And how do I search for jobs online? So what we did was we created how-tos so that they could be at resource center depth. And for those people who they need to know how to use the computer. But for those people who are comfortable with computers, they can learn how to format a resume on their own. And what quite a few of our sites did was they created workshops, so introduction to essential skills and using computers for the job search. So they used this tool in a workshop to help raise the level of skill of their clients. So they're learning computer use skills, but they're also learning the really important aspects of job search. And the clients loved it. They grabbed those sheets and took them home and were practicing with them, and they really felt that not only now could they format a resume, but they could also put together a really nice cover letter, and they could take it onto their job. Okay. So this is the one where it's how do you find company websites and where do you look for job postings right on company websites. Some tips and tricks. So things such as they often have drop-down menus and buttons, etc. So how to navigate through websites to find the actual job posting. And what else? The adaptation tool, it just will help you to understand some the ethics and important aspects of changing and adapting these tools. So HRSDC allows you to change their tools, but they also have some guidelines on their website on how to go about doing it. And the Connect Skills project says go for it. Change the tools, adapt them for your audience. As soon as you do make those changes, though, just remove the Connect Skills project from it because it's no longer our tool, it's your tool. Okay, and we welcome you to do that. So, but there are a few important considerations because you may change the tool in so much that in fact it no longer meets the objective you had in mind. So some considerations to take in place. Okay. And I think I will leave it to a few questions because we're getting near the end. So I know that this isn't ideal.
So let's talk about the ideal. That would be my one question, and that would be this: if you were to do something like this as an orientation, have you done that yet?
Yeah.
Like, how long would the workshop typically be to do a proper orientation?
To do a proper orientation would be at least 2 days. 2 days?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have something where somebody could essentially bring like a case from their workplace and walk through as a group?
For sure, that could definitely be an adaptation. And our project is finishing at the end of March, and so there won't be any staff attached to it.
But there are leaders across the country who could take this curriculum and they could run it.
And so there's the possibility of a contracted service arrangement with a number of these leaders, possibly
Absolutely.
yourself.
Absolutely. Possibly, yeah. Now I go back to I've had very good fortune of being on a leave of absence for 3 years from my employer, which is a community college in Oshawa, Durham College. So I'll be going back to my job as a career practitioner the beginning of March. But there are leaders. There are leaders in Alberta. Mm-hmm. There are people who know their essential skills stuff and could really take this further. Any questions?
Sorry, I went to say one other observation. I was waiting for the questions part, but since there's silence. When you were the trifold piece,
yes.
I'll just put this out on the table. One of the things that we are thinking about doing is maybe a quarterly webinar with high school counselors or an outreach piece. And it seems to me that with the essential skills profile, and we got the one for our group that we're working with, you could actually guide people through some goal setting with some of the tools. And so I don't know if it's been discussed, but I could actually see this being useful for secondary and high school, but junior high, senior high school goal setting and counseling and career investigations as many people are required to do career investigations today. If we could get to people earlier, they could help start developing identifying and developing some of the essential skills they need for their goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you completely. And when we created this roadmap, we really saw this as being central to the work that we were doing, that intervention, like the card sort, that intervention results are put into the roadmap. So with all of your interventions, fill out this roadmap. And also I want to mention that there's not a lot of room to write in here. So we also have another version where it's 1 page per section, for those of you who would like to have more space. Yep.
Who do you see in the 3 years that you've been working with this that's using this document the most?
I don't have the most up-to-date information, but I do know that there are community colleges that are definitely using it within their employment programs, and some of our community organizations that I worked with. So they're
Alberta Work.
Pardon me?
Different agencies like Alberta Work. They're doing some career counseling or no?
I can't speak to that.
That was,
I don't like
Yeah.
What a couple of slides that we don't have. Can we get those slides?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
and so one of our online folks was asking, in terms of either practitioners or leaders or resources specifically to Alberta, do you have any of that you could share with us, or?
Well, one of the, something that I had in the back of my mind earlier today that I thought was really important for me to share is that places that you can go for additional training is, first one that comes to mind in Alberta is Bow Valley College has been working with essential skills for many years, and they have some professional development courses. Also, Douglas College has an online essential skills essential skills practitioner certificate, and it's online. And Skill Plan, which has the Measure Up website, Skill Plan also has some very good and interesting personal development. One of them is on how to create curriculum, build a curriculum with using essential skills language. They also have essential skills profile analyst course where you can learn how to create profiles.
I could just step in, I guess lunch is served, and I see some people already eating out there. So we started. So I'd like to thank you very much for
You're very welcome.
the next question. I guess I was saying something of appreciation for. Okay, so lunch is served, and we'll assemble again at 1:30.